We're about to drive through the longest highway tunnel in North America. A tunnel that runs 2.5 miles through Maynard Mountain in Alaska. Get ready. We're driving through this mountain both ways, using 2 different cameras. Welcome to the Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel. Hi, I'm Tiffany from Destination for Vacation. Thanks for joining me. Whittier, Alaska is about 63 miles south of Anchorage. The Bear Valley staging area is the entrance to the tunnel from Anchorage. The tunnel is shared by trains and motor vehicles, and traffic moves through the tunnel one direction at a time. Vehicles enter in scheduled convoys controlled by traffic signals. During the summer travel season, the tunnel opens for vehicles for just 15 minutes at a time. Miss that window and the wait could be up to 45 minutes. That's why drivers are advised to arrive about 10 minutes before the opening. Vehicles enter in a specific order to keep traffic moving smoothly. Buses first, then large trucks, then cars, then vehicles moving trailers. Motorcycles enter last, about 90 seconds after the other vehicles, and no other vehicles are allowed in the tunnel during that time. The A-frame design of each portal building is engineered to withstand massive avalanches. The roof panels are 14-inch thick reinforced concrete, able to withstand the equivalent of 11 feet of snow and forces of 1,000 pounds per square foot. Behind each portal's garage door are fire trucks and emergency equipment. Heated ice control panels are positioned at each entrance. Vehicles travel directly over the railroad bed. Motorcycles ride between the rails once inside the tunnel. Anton Anderson was the chief engineer for the project that brought rail service to Whittier and a former mayor of Anchorage. The tunnel was dedicated to him in 1976 for his service to Alaska. At 2.5 miles long, this is the longest highway tunnel in North America. It's also the longest tunnel in North America shared by trains and cars. Look up and you may see the jet ventilation fans. This tunnel was the first in the United States to use jet turbine ventilation. 6 75 horsepower fans move air through the tunnel. 4 additional 300 horsepower portal fans can purge smoke during emergencies. This system also helps prevent ice from forming inside the tunnel. Safe houses and emergency pullouts are built along the tunnel walls, and emergency phones are located throughout the tunnel. More than 60 cameras monitor the tunnel and staging areas. Signals, gates, and track switches ensure cars and trains are never in the tunnel at the same time. The tunnel also includes radar. The speed limit inside the tunnel is 25 miles per hour, so it takes about 7 minutes to drive through it. Bicycles and pedestrians are not allowed. At this point, we're about halfway through Maynard Mountain. This tunnel was built during World War II. Crews drilled from both sides of the mountain at the same time. Surveyors guided the two drilling teams so the tunnels would meet deep inside the mountain. After more than 2 miles of drilling through solid rock, the two tunnel sections met with only inches of air. Long before railroads or tunnels, the Chugach people traveled in this area for thousands of years to hunt, gather, and trade. The mountains were crossed through Portage Pass and the edge of Portage Glacier. By the late 1800s, miners and prospectors used the same route to reach goldfields. Many were dropped off by boat at the head of the Passage Canal near present-day Whittier. From there, prospectors dragged supplies over Portage Pass using pack trains, sleds, and pulley systems. At that time, Portage Glacier covered much of Portage Lake, making travel even more difficult. Travelers often crossed the edge of the glacier before descending into Portage Valley. The journey across the mountains was considered dangerous and extremely demanding. In 1914, the Alaska Railroad began considering a rail spur to shorten shipping distances. Using Whittier would eliminate about 52 miles of additional rail travel to Seward. But the project didn't move forward until World War II created an urgent need. In 1941, the U.S. Army began building a rail connection from Whittier to Portage. This rail line quickly became one of Alaska's main supply routes during the war. Workers blasted through 2 mountains to complete the route. One tunnel measured about 1 mile through Begich Peak. The second tunnel measured 2.5 miles through Maynard Mountain. Together, these tunnels linked Alaska's main line at Portage to Whittier. Construction of the rail spur and tunnels was completed on April 23, 1943. Once the rail connection was finished, work crews and supply ships began arriving in large numbers. By the mid-1940s, the population of Whittier grew to more than 1,000 military and civilian personnel. Welcome to Whittier, Alaska. This small town sits on the edge of Prince William Sound. Prince William Sound contains thousands of miles of coastline and fjords. It's not unusual to see whales, sea otters, seals, and bald eagles in the area. Whittier exists largely because of World War II military strategy. The U.S. military needed a secure, deepwater port connected to Anchorage by rail. Prince William Sound rarely freezes, making it an ideal year-round harbor. Whittier sits only about 50 miles from Anchorage with gentle rail grades. That made it an ideal freight port for the Alaska Railroad. Today, it remains a major connection point for shipping and tourism in Prince William Sound. Whittier's harbor is a major starting point for glacier cruises and fishing trips. The dock ahead is Whittier's cruise ship terminal. Many northbound or southbound Alaska cruises begin or end their journey here. Holland America Line and Princess Cruises are the major operators. Other lines include Norwegian, Oceania, Regent Seven Seas, and Seabourn. That brown building on the left is the Inn at Whittier. Before we head back into the tunnel to return to Anchorage, let's quickly drive by two of Whittier's landmark buildings. Begich Towers is the 14-story building up ahead on the right. Nearly all of Whittier's 272 residents live in it. It was originally built as Army barracks in the 1950s. After Army operations left Whittier in the 1960s, the building was turned into condominiums. Originally named the Hodge Building, it was renamed Begich Towers in 1972 in memory of Alaska Representative Nick Begich Sr., who likely died in a plane crash in the area and was never found. In addition to condos, it has a grocery store, post office, church, playground, health clinic, and a police station. An underground tunnel connects it to a gym and a school. Just ahead is one of the largest abandoned buildings in Alaska. Opened in 1953, the Buckner Building once housed hundreds of soldiers and civilian workers. At the time of its construction, it was the largest building in Alaska under one roof. The building was designed so soldiers could live and work without leaving the structure during severe weather. It contained about 1,000 rooms and included a hospital, school, chapel, and even a bowling alley and theater. After the military left Whittier in the 1960s, the building briefly housed private businesses and residents. Then it was abandoned. Years of storms, freezing temperatures, and broken windows accelerated the building's decay. Because of safety concerns, visitors are not allowed inside the building. Whittier is an ice-free deepwater port. Ferries connect Whittier with coastal communities across Alaska. The terminal ahead serves the Alaska Marine Highway System. But if you're traveling by road, you must return through the same tunnel when leaving Whittier. Currently, it costs $13 round trip for cars to travel through the tunnel. The Whittier to Anchorage route runs on the hour, and the Anchorage to Whittier route runs on the half hour. Miss the last entrance of the night, and you'll be waiting until tomorrow to leave town. Prior to 2000, cars couldn't travel through this tunnel. Instead, vehicles were loaded onto flat cars and transported by train through the mountain. But in the 1990s, demand for access to Whittier was more than the Alaska Railroad shuttle service could accommodate. So in 1998, work began to convert the tunnel. The renovation required removing the original railroad track and crushed rock foundation. 3 75-horsepower jet fans were positioned at each tunnel entrance. They're designed to purge the tunnel of fumes after trains travel through, ensuring good air quality throughout the tunnel. The tunnel's 4 300-horsepower portal fans will blow smoke and fumes away from any vehicle stopped in the tunnel. The driving lane is about 11.5 feet wide. Vehicles up to 10 feet wide, 14 feet tall, and 75 feet long can pass through the tunnel. The tunnel was designed so a single lane of vehicles could drive directly over the railroad track area. This design saved millions of dollars compared with building a separate highway tunnel. Look closely at the road surface. It's made of large precast concrete panels. 1,800 of them. These panels include grooves that allow railroad tracks to remain embedded in the roadway. Concrete was used because asphalt would soften under the weight of the trains. This was the first tunnel in the United States to use this kind of roadway system. Freight trains usually pass through the tunnel at night when it's closed to cars. During the day, the Alaska Railroad uses about 20% of the tunnel's available time slots. Passengers on the Glacier Discovery train pass through this tunnel on their way to or from Whittier. But reflections from the cabin lights on the windows make it nearly impossible to clearly see outside in the dark tunnel. Convertibles may seem like they'd offer the best tunnel views, but drivers are required to put the car's top up as they drive through the tunnel. And motorcycle drivers must wear helmets. We're now about halfway through Maynard Mountain. Turning this railroad tunnel into a road was considered one of the most challenging engineering projects in the United States. To make room for vehicles, workers had to blast additional rock out of parts of the tunnel and widen parts of it to create pullouts for disabled vehicles. Emergency safe houses were also built every 1,600 feet inside the tunnel. Most of the tunnel walls you see are still natural rock from the original 1940s excavation. In places where the rock was weaker, the tunnel was reinforced with steel plates and protective mesh. You may notice water dripping from the tunnel walls. A drainage system collects the water and carries it through the tunnel. About 10 miles of pipe run beneath the roadway to carry water out of the tunnel. During spring melt, this system can move 250 gallons of water per minute. We've just driven 2.5 miles through Maynard Mountain, twice. This is one of the most unusual tunnels in North America, and the only road connecting Whittier to the rest of America. If you enjoyed this video, it would be very much appreciated if you would give it a thumbs up. And please check out this channel's other Alaska videos, perhaps even the video on the 26 Glaciers tour, which departs out of Whittier. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again soon in one of these videos. Until then, here's hoping that your next adventure is just around the corner.